the Lyon room in the majestic Pettigrew Hall at the Bates Dance Festival. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. You know me. I'm Tristan, Emmanuel Kepke, Associate Director of the Bates Dance Festival at Young Dancers Intensive. And I have two friends here with me. And I'm going to do something like a little bit formal and tell you about them via their bios. And I know it is one of my favorite things to have my bio read at me. It's not awkward. It never feels weird. So I'm so happy that I can offer you both this experience. With me, I have the amazing Betsy Miller. Born and raised in rural Ohio, Betsy Miller is a dance artist, educator, and facilitator, now based in Salem, Massachusetts. Her choreography blends improvisational practice, ritual, athleticism, and theatricality through collaborative practices, and has been presented in New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Iowa, Nevada, and, any guesses? Texas! She's performed with Lost Wax Multimedia Dance and Fusion Works, and has recently appeared in works by Kathleen Hermsdorf, Heidi Henderson, Rose Pasquarello-Buchan, okay, Audrey McLean, and Rachel Boja, in collaborations with Matthew Cumby, Lida Winfield, and Sean Hogue. She has recently presented at the International Association for Dance Medicine Science, impressive, and the Dance Studies Association. She was a 2017 BDF Emerging Artist, the 2016 Rhode Island State Council of the Arts, on the Arts, not of, it's on, yeah, Choreography Fellow, and a 2019 Next Steps for Boston Dance awardee. She's received support from the Foundation for Contemporary Arts, New England Foundation for the Arts, Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, Somerville Arts Council, the City of Salem, Gloucester Cultural Council, the City of Providence Department of Art, Culture and Tourism, and the Ohio State University. Why do you have to be so impressive? She's currently serving as Associate, yes that's right, Associate Professor of Dance at Salem State University. Betsy's been on faculty at Providence College, Connecticut College, Dean College, and AS220 in Providence as well, and regularly teaches and performs as a guest artist throughout New England and beyond. She holds an MFA, a Master's of Fine Arts, in dance from the Ohio State University, and a Bachelor of Arts in Dance from Connecticut College. Let's give it up for Betsy. And we have another friend with us. My friend here is named Heather Lyon. Let's give it up for Heather. Heather Lyon is a performance, video, and installation artist from Blue Hill, Maine. Her work investigates relationships through materials, embodiment practices, and systems of coded communication. She holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts and a Master's of Fine Arts from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Lyon's work has been performed and exhibited locally and internationally, including at De Cordova Sculpture Museum and Park, Center for Maine Contemporary Art, the IMRC Center, the University of Maine, Orono, Space Gallery, Cynthia Wining's Gallery, the Picnic Pavilion in Venice, Italy, and the State Silk Museum in a place in Georgia pronounced Tbilisi. I was not going to get that, so thank you for your help. Let's give it up for Heather Lyon. We've asked each of these artists to speak about their work and their process for about 10 or 15 minutes, somewhere in there. They'll be showing some clips, maybe some images, while talking about their process. And I'm going to ask a question or two, and we'll have plenty of time for questions from you. Yeah? So make sure you're jotting down thoughts, questions you might have along the way. Please don't be shy with those questions. Yeah? Without further ado, Betsy Miller. Bye.
Oh, hi. Wow, it's delightful to look out on all of you, and it's delightful to dance with some of you and somatically hopefully warm up with some of you this morning. Looking forward to more of that. This is like, I think the math is that this is my 16th year here at Bates Dance Festival in some capacity. So I came as a college student, like after my first year of college, and then I came back as an intern, and then I went to New York and did a New York thing for a while, and then I went to grad school, and I really missed coming here, so I came back as an intern again, in different kinds of internships, and then eventually they just had to give me a job. Because I wouldn't go away. And now I work in the box office with Kristen O'Neill. Where is she? Oh, hey. Right. And have been delighted to, was an emerging artist in 2017 and delighted to be back to work on my project, the American Woman Project. And this week I'm in residence with Marin Day and Lindsay Jennings. Working on a duet that we started back in February of this year at Salem State in Salem, Mass, where I teach during my normal life when I'm not here. So this duet is part of a larger project that I think you heard a little bit about on Sunday, that I've been just so honored and blessed to be a part of and immersed in since 2018. And the kind of the short of it is that I am in the process of working in collaboration with a woman identifying dance artist in every state of the country. We're at number 25, I think, out of 50 plus now. So I guess you could say I'm halfway through. COVID slowed things down a little bit, so I'm trying to make some more dances. And the idea of this came about to kind of check off a number of boxes for me as somebody who has been wearing different hats in the dance world for a number of years. I really have loved making dances that are kind of exploring what some possibilities are for being a woman in this country, being perceived as a woman in the various subcultures that make up this nation. And I wanted to dive into that a little bit more. I also am just so turned off by ego. And I wanted to kind of just drop out of ego-driven artistic practice and try to experiment with another model. So I wondered what it would be like instead of following kind of the traditional power dynamic in Western concert dance that I grew up in. I grew up in the ballet realm and love ballet. But in that model, there's a really firm hierarchy of the choreographer who has all of the agency, and the dancer who does not have agency and operates as an instrument of the choreographer's will. And that is a model that has been used for many, many years and can make some amazing work. And I was curious about what are some other possibilities. What if I make dances that are not centered on my interests, but actually the interests of the dancer? So how can I work as a facilitator? And I kind of think of myself as a dance midwife in some cases to facilitate the birth of a dance that's already inside of that amazing woman that I'm working with. So like in various ways I operate depending on what that dancer wants me to do for them, as a choreographer, as a director, as a dramaturge, as an instigator, as a therapist, as a friend, as a tool, as many, many things, and it challenges me to be really versatile and nimble and constantly check my own ego so that I can support the interests and the identities of the dancer. And and it feels like I've talked for 17 hours. I'm going to show you about a 5-minute video that was made by people who have some people who have been involved in the festival previously, and some of the folks that you'll see and hear again are people, some of the people you hear and see will be maybe familiar to you, potentially. So,
Do you want to, you're in charge, I'll get the light. I'll get the light. Just down. Maybe, I know that this one's that. Can you see?
So I have kind of a series of questions that I'm asking all of the participants, and it's a mixture of questions that allow me to get a sense of where you are right now in your relationship to dance, in your relationship to where you are geographically, the culture that we're a part of, what's happening in this country, and how I might facilitate a creative process that would feed you. I think it's so interesting that people say that the dance field is dominated by women, because it isn't. It's populated by women, but positions of power, opportunities are often finding their way more towards men. I just thought it might be an opportunity to platform some women artists who are exceptional people in this field. I'm traveling around the country to collaborate with women dance artists in every state. My mission? To create a solo for each artist based on her own interests and personal history. And my question is, what drives you as an artist?
I feel strongly about what dance can be for society. It's this profound, untapped, ununderstood, ephemeral giant.
I think there's knowledge deep inside us that we can only access through our physicality.
I know something about muscular tone. I know something about falling upward. I know something about daughters. Divorce.
I'm curious about what being a woman means.
There's power. There's that feels very uplifting to me, and sometimes feels very intimidating to me.
I like it that there is a difference between men and women. And I like it that there's many people in between that are both.
I cherish being a daughter. I cherish being a wife, a friend. There's something about the body that I really enjoy. Its landscape, its shape, its form, its function.
I feel sexy in my strength. I never got to be a mom, but I get to be kind of a mom to a lot of my students. Through our art form, we can empower that next generation of women to take this forward.
Why do you get anxious?
What if they're not the anxious about?
What I feel like and identify as is inherently American just because I am, and that's not reflected in our broader values. There's something about the burden that a woman of color carries.
I feel angry. Definitely feel angry.
Not cared for.
Pretty sad and lost.
I think the main word is ashamed. Is it of interest to you to explore this in what we make together?
Yeah, very much so.
It's very important for me to feel understood and to feel heard. Maybe to feel heard more than understood, actually.
There are silent expectations that I should be doing certain things. I think because I'm a woman artist, the amount of times I've heard, when are you gonna settle down, is really frustrating to me.
And then I was trying to figure out my own identity, which Betsy helped me find within this work, because she helped me navigate where I was going within the states that I was in. Who knew this like 4-minute thing could really shift your perspective of like how you identify.
This is about you being unapologetically you, owning that, and my goal is to facilitate that.
At Amica, we provide you with something more than Bono.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing these days, mostly working with these amazing, amazing women, one-on-one, sometimes one-on-two, because it just works out that way, and can't say no to 2 amazing dancers. And I'm so grateful for the festival for also being a container for so many of these collaborations, and also a space where I have met a lot of the women that I've worked with. Probably recognize some people. If you've been here before, you might have recognized some additional people. You might have recognized some spaces that you're dancing in. So BDF has been a really important part of this project in terms of the people who it's brought into my circle and my community, and also just providing a creative space to be inspired and to make art together. So delighted to talk about it.
We're gonna next pass it off to Heather. What do you need from me? Yeah, thank you for you can even arrow your way through. Do you want me to hang up here? Okay, I'll be right there. I'm scared of new technology, so I don't expect anyone to. Is the light out there?
So my name is Heather. I'm really thrilled to be here. Thank you to Shoni for inviting me and everyone that's part of the Bates Dance Festival. This is my first time being here, and I'm already very impressed and thrilled with what I've seen so far. So I just briefly saw a couple of classes today, and also started to gather materials for this project that I'll be working on here called Portal, which I will show some images of. Where's my arrow? Here?
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
So I'm from Blue Hill, Maine. This is a map on the right that shows where I live, and the blue dot is where we are. I live in an off-the-grid, self-built cabin on the land where I was born. And the image on the left are my solar electric panels. So all of the power that I use is generated from the sun through these panels. So it's just 6 of them. It's a very small system. It's a 1.8 kilowatt system. It's really important to me to feel connected to the land and to make the most sort of ecologically minded choices that I can in my living, but also in my art practice. So a lot of the work that I make has also been powered by these small 6 panels. You guys are great. Amazing reception. Okay. So in December 2021, I began an ongoing project on this land with the help of my partner, Ken Hoffman, and it marked a turning point in my life. The sculpture for Bates grows from my experience of this project and a desire to expand its reach. Natural materials from the site will be formed into a 10-foot diameter standing circle. So far, I've found, with the help of Jeremy, and Marin and Chelsea, some beautiful pieces of cedar that have already been cut down, that were in the, the green dump of the college, and some branches. So, the community will be invited to interact with the sculpture along with the natural forces present on site, weather patterns, light, flora, fauna. Portal is an invitation that opens a literal and metaphoric space for transformation and interdimensional travel. So this is one of my friends walking through the portal that I made at my house, which was the inspiration for the one that I'll be building here. And I used spruce boughs and some fallen limbs to create this structure. So if I want to play the link, how do I do that through your system?
The mouse should give you
So that's me running through the portal. In the middle of the winter.
Yeah, me too. I have
So hopefully all of you will have a chance to go through this portal that we'll make together. The original idea was to make this huge portal that I was going to light on fire and run through this like flaming hoop. But as soon as I built it, I really loved it and didn't want it to just disappear immediately. So now it's been quite some time that it's there, and I've watched it over the seasons and in different weather, and it's needed some help over the last year, so I've put new branches in, and this past spring I planted some morning glories at the base, thinking that it would be pretty incredible to have some live flowers eventually covering it. So this is the field that is right outside of right in front of my house. So I look at this every day, and there's other ways to go through the portal. So we'll be having this portal experience together. Saturday we'll finish making it and attach the circular part of the portal onto the structural frame. On Sunday, all of you will have a chance to go through the portal after preparing with the group meditation together. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it takes us, because you never know. various ways. These are images from the Center for Maine Contemporary Arts Biennial. I think for the sake of time, I will go through these kind of quickly. Maybe can we turn off the lights?
Yeah, we can. I don't know which light. Does anyone know which light? The closest one. Should we try it?
Yeah. This one is called Poesis is Genesis Through Darkness. The dots and dashes of Morse code are translated into the geometry of pieced fabric. Morse code is a system of coded communication using specific patterns of sound waves or visible light to spell out words or phrases. So this actually, if you can read Morse code, this literally says Poesis is Genesis Through Darkness. Quilt making carries coded meaning through pattern, choice of material, and color. The text and title is from a dream I received while healing from a concussion. During this time, I had profound access to alternate states of consciousness, particularly dreams. This is another Morse code quilt called The Sigh of Dark Things. Song of a Humpback Whale. In the early 1970s, Roger Payne and David McVeigh, whale researchers, transcribed by hand the vocalizations of a humpback whale, recorded on a spectrogram. The resulting image, published on the cover of Science magazine in 1974, was the source for my embroidered quilt. Whale songs, which are true songs in that they contain organized, repeated units, phrases, and themes, evolve over time. Only the males sing, a song they seem to agree upon, and it remains a mystery how and why they sing. This song from the 70s is not the song whales are singing today, and serves as a record of a specific time linked to my time of birth. This quilt is a way to communicate with the whales through the intimacy of the body and the world of dreams. And so you can see the scale. That's me on the left. It's a queen size quilt. And there I am, stitching by hand. Also part of this exhibition was a live performance titled Milk Feed, and here I am with friend and colleague Sam Jones. And this piece explored intimacy, nourishment, and connection, and you can see we're sitting in front of the whale song quilt. Sam and I engaged in slow gestures of exchange. The reach is an extending gesture of care. Marks representing code and whale song in my quilts are signals of exchange, reaching, and transmission. Repetition refers to the ongoing urge to communicate, to connect. Milk is care, is nurturance. Milk links us to the whale, our mammalian natures. When the breast no longer suffices, language or other sorts arises. We begin to speak. We are milky, leaking creatures within the slippery, spilling nature of being. So we went back and forth, feeding each other this milk, but rather than ingesting it, we let it run down our chins and onto our garments, and it eventually pooled all onto this beautiful piece of wool felt that we were sitting on. It was really hard for me to choose where to show. So there's too much, so we'll move through kind of quickly with this one. This was at University of Maine, Orono, titled Quickening. And it was a three-channel video installation with live movement. And that's, me in the fetal position at the beginning. And the end was really cool. There was a disco ball that was in the space, and I was like, I want to use that. And so at the end, it was all dark, and then the ball was just spinning and spinning and spinning with these lights going around the room, and I was ringing a very large bell, just like, anyway. This is called The Weight of Water, and I've performed it twice now. You can watch a little bit of this. This version was at Cynthia Winning's gallery, but I've also done it at Cordoba. So it was over the course of an hour and a half. I poured 75 pounds of blue therapy sand into a pile on the floor. And the 75 pounds of sand corresponds to the amount of water, the weight of water that is contained in my body. After I poured the pile, I used slow meditative movements to move the sand into different forms on this piece of white fabric on the floor. And then at the end, I gather it back up into the pile and wrap my body around it. And at the very end, I sit up and half of my face is covered with blue sand the way that it covered my hands and the soles of my feet.
Bottom right corner with the mouse, and you get
This?
the middle.
Okay. Super. Back to here. I don't really want to show this. Okay. This is a collaboration with a filmmaker friend. Huh. That's not right. Maybe we'll come back to that if there's time. I want to show you a work in progress that I began during a residency in Berlin this past March called Berlin Blau. And in this piece I'm wearing a poncho that I made out of upcycled fabric that I collected from Berlin. And I'm at this lake in the neighborhood of Lichtenberg, which is northeast. Not sure why it's so blurry. Okay. Started 2018, ongoing, called Semaphore Love Letters. Semaphore is a system of movement and flag-based nonverbal communication. And you hold the flags in specific positions to represent letters that then spell out phrases, often traversing vast distances. This project begins from the understanding that water supports all life and seeks to draw attention to and build relationship with water as an entity. The Mylar safety poncho speaks to the urgency of this critical moment, both ecologically and socially. Though useful against cold and heat, these garments do nothing to protect us from the effects of emotional catastrophe or the damage of isolation and social rupture. So these are various places in the world that I've done this. And again, similar to the Morse code, if you know how to read Semaphore, I'm actually spelling out a love letter. And this is this one is in Nazaré in Portugal, where some of the biggest waves in the world are. It's known for surfing, which just seems crazy to me because the waves are enormous, like nothing I had experienced before, and I was in complete and utter awe. So of course it was a great place to send my love. This is at that same lake in Berlin, and this is on
Thank you, Betsy and Heather, for sharing your work. We have about 20 minutes for questions, and I'll get us warmed up, but I'm excited that you're excited. Wait until that's done. Thank you so much. I was really excited by the way that, I think you threw out this word ego, like you want to move away from ego, you're not attracted to processes that are overly involved with ego. And I saw something similar in your work, I think, and I'm curious about what that means in your process. Like, what do you lean towards, if not those like self-driven ideas? What are you listening for? in class today, if you took class with me, we talked about like opening the door to listen to the dance and let the dance do itself rather than doing it. But I'm curious if either of you have insight or words to describe what that is for you.
Sure.
Cool.
Go ahead, yeah.
I love that question. I think that when I feel most connected to my process and the work that I feel most excited about is work where I felt like I was a channel and that the art was moving through me and that I'm just the vessel using what I have as a human being, a body, a mind, a heart, the ability to do certain things, and that creativity comes through me.
Thank you. What a snack. We're doing snacks tonight. Okay.
So I think I come at it from a service-oriented mindset, which is how I approach a lot of what I do. So it's really not, obviously like my aesthetics and my sensibilities are gonna show up in the work because I'm helping to make it and shape it. But to put that kind of in the background or let it sit in the background while I focus on being in service to my collaborators. So it's really about trying to platform them and everything that I can do in support of that, so that is what the focus is, rather than my own desires. And I'll tell a quick favorite story since she just left the room. Oh no, you just moved. Where did Allie go? No, this is my favorite thing that's happened in any of these collaborations is that I worked with Allie. She was kind of in the initial cohort. I worked with a group of New England-based artists in 2018. And it was kind of a trial run because I wasn't really sure if this project was like a good idea. So I kind of reached out to friends to ask if they would work with me, and they all said yes, which was exciting. And Allie and I worked here during the festival in one of the racquetball courts that I think is now like virtual golf or something like that. And we made a duet that was a little bit of set material and a lot of tightly structured improvisation. And felt really good about it, and then stepped away from it. And then she came to Salem State a couple months later, and we worked on it, and stepped away from it. And then we had a show of all these New England pieces in December. And she showed up to the show, and she said, I threw away the dance and made a new one. And I was like, oh, like part of me was crushed. But that was a really great moment for me to really take my own lesson and say, that's what this is about. Like, that's what she needed to happen. And maybe, like, she probably wouldn't have gotten to that gorgeous, gorgeous solo that you saw, like, a little smidgen of, had we not made this, like, practice thing first. So that's my most extreme example of, like, letting go of my ego and letting the process do what it's supposed to do.
And how did that change the next collaborations? Did you change how you went about it, or did it reinforce or deepen something?
That's a great question. I'm sure I know that each process has informed the following processes in various ways. Just talking about you. Yeah, I think I've realized more and more that I can let go and let it be what it's going to be, and trust that and accept that, and that I wouldn't say gets easy, but I feel like it's a good practice, it's good for me. So I keep doing it and keep just trusting in the process and trusting that whatever comes up is valuable.
Thank you. I have more, but we're gonna go back here. And will you share your name with the room and then your question? Yes.
Okay, my name is Ramona. One of them was, sorry, I work on my phone. I was wondering with your American Women collaborations, if some of them have like little integrated parts that kind of hint at the state they're from. And I was also wondering how you do that, and if all of the collaborations, if you feel that they flow together to tell one story.
Those are such good questions, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so I should have said that another one of my reasons that I did this project was that I wanted to like kind of understand this country a little bit better. I at various times, and particularly in the political climate that 2018 found us in, feel very at odds with a lot of what goes on in this country. So I thought, oh, I'll go to like North Dakota and see what that's about and find an answer there. I actually haven't gone there yet. You know, some places that I might not just go on vacation to. Like I wanted a work reason to go, and it's a nice tax write-off too. So sometimes, to get to your question, sometimes the work is a lot about the state, and sometimes it isn't, and that is dependent on the interests of the dancer that I'm working with. And if you're really like interested in knowing more about this project, if you go on my website and go into the American Woman tab and the participating artists, there's a little section about each artist I've worked with, and if you click on their picture, it'll take you to a little teaser video that you'll get kind of like a taste of what we did together. And each process begins with me. Before we get in the studio, I interview them, and I ask them about the state that they live in. And sometimes that's where they grew up, and sometimes they just moved there. And by the time we finish the piece, they've already moved somewhere else, because dancers, big surprise, move around a lot. So some of the pieces, yeah, are like there's a piece called Montana. And like I think there's definitely a thread through and a flow that has to do with the questions that I'm asking in this process, and probably like the consistent part is me, and I'm making some aesthetic choices that probably have some kind of vibe to them that somebody else wouldn't make. So yeah, I get asked a lot, like, am I gonna have a big show and put them all together at some point? Like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, it's gonna be 50 dances who would want to sit through that. But it would be kind of interesting to see, you know, what common threads emerge for others watching a bunch of them at the same time. Thanks for your time.
We'll go Lita first, and then boom, boom, boom. Wow, okay, Lita.
So I noticed that both of your speeches, they had a lot of you had a lot of videos to share. And just growing up, just seeing the progression of the online space and how much we use technology, we use video other than film to just like express ourselves other than just expressing through performance, like live performance. I was wondering how the digital landscape changing so fast influences your art and what you do. Was that a lot?
These are pretty good questions.
I'll just chime in briefly just to say, like, I think what you're both presenting, like, we're seeing videos and images, but there's such a liveness and an importance to what both of you are presenting that they are live. What do you think?
I've actually been thinking a lot about that, because most of the people who are finding out about my project are like only seeing video, or only, you know, seeing the website or stuff. They're interacting digitally, so it's making me think more about what these solos are. And I've, in probably about 3 cases now, made a dance film instead of a live performance piece, or in addition to. And a lot of the footage, like I'm kind of collecting lots of archival footage of everything, but like most of what you saw was with my like iPhone 6 up until last year when I upgraded to an 11. So it's, yeah, It's really low tech because it's just me for the most part, and once in a while somebody who actually knows what they're doing. But I am really interested in the power of being with art as it unfolds. So I think I would be hesitant to go more and more into a digital sphere because I think there's something magical about the way that we breathe together when we see art together. We'll see.
I love that answer. I think it's a really tricky question. And I'm definitely struggling with it currently. It's challenging to figure out what to share through video, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's my website or a situation like this. Because I feel like so much is lost from the experience, the live experience. And I wish that that I could share more work live, but having the tools to be able to record it and then share it with a much larger audience feels incredible too. I really don't like having the role of videographer and performer and costume maker and like all of it, production manager, whatever, all of it. It gets really overwhelming, so I've started to work with some videographers, filmmakers.
Yeah, and I love the photos that you showed there. It's magical.
But I don't always have somebody at my disposal, so it's kind of a thing.
I take photos. Yes.
I'm going to say we have like 4 more questions, hopefully in 10 minutes. Yeah, we'll start here.
Wait, I missed this.
Oh yeah, say your name. Sorry, I didn't ask you.
My name is Ida, and my question is about how, like, I was thinking the backgrounds of the dancers and how in America there are a lot of people who are maybe have parents from other countries or just have multiple identities. So I was just like wondering how that would be approached and how it was like reflected.
You're asking all the right questions. Thank you. Yeah, I think we got a step for that. So yeah, golly, that's in there. I've worked with dancers who are first generation and second generation Americans who have various backgrounds. I've worked with dancers who I'm really close friends with and with like absolute strangers who found out about my project and emailed me or Facebook messaged me and said, hey, did you work with anybody in Nevada yet? No, you want to make a dance together? So making a dance for somebody is a really good way to get to know them very quickly in like 2 days. And yeah, I'm interested. We all have various identities, and I am interested in how those intersect and inform our perspectives and how we are in turn perceived. I am interested in, and I'm also super interested in the women that I've worked with who identify as women but also identify as trans or identify as non-binary. There's a whole spectrum of possibility there. And I am not trying to like check off certain boxes. Okay, I gotta get a person who checks off this box and that box, or tokenize people, but just finding out like what's in a person's history and what are their stories and how can I support them being their authentic selves, and how do these like various identities exist together inside of one person. And that is endlessly profoundly beautiful to explore. So I hope I've spoken like to some aspect of your question, and if not, like corner me later.
Hi, I'm Emmy. I have a question for Heather. I've noticed that there was like a common theme with water in many of your pieces of work, and I was wondering like why you chose to include that theme and why it's important.
Yeah. I just feel so connected to water. And I mean, I'm holding a cup of water. Yeah, I think that some of my most profound experiences that I've had have been with or in water. And so I want to be making work from a place of awe and inspiration. And yeah, it's a huge, huge kind of healing force in my life.
Hi, my name is Alexandra, or Alex, and I have a question for Betsy and for Heather. For Betsy, okay, so you talked about this removal of ego in your process, and I was wondering if there was a certain moment or when you discovered a new process or watched a new process, maybe from a different medium, that led you to start making work, or if you have always made work without ego, there was a shift. And then for Heather, are you gonna light the portal on fire? I like that idea of rebirth, and all these photos of seeing it through the elements and seeing it through the seasons, and that idea of like a forest experiences a fire, but then there's something new that grows from it that's richer and fuller because of what we do.
Yes, the plan is to do it. I'm just not ready yet. No, I love what you just said. And we'll see. We'll see when it actually happens. I keep thinking, oh, it's gonna be, summer solstice, and then no, it's gonna be Halloween, or like all of these times in the year, and none has felt right yet. So I think I'll just know.
Golly, I don't know. I guess at a certain point, it got uncomfortable for me to tell somebody what to do with their body, like to tell them, to order them, do this. There's always a possibility of like inviting, suggesting, offering. And I think that that's the spirit in which I offer material with my students to explore. The term "my dancer" is weird. Like, I just sort of kind of started feeling uncomfortable, especially with women, like, who are being told like what they can and can't do with their bodies, like on a very real level now. And I just felt like, no, I don't want to perpetuate that. I'm done with that.
Yes.
So I think I got to a place of being done with it without even realizing. And then just said, okay, like let's just do this. And sometimes I've worked with an artist who asked me, tell me what to do. And then because it's consensual, I feel comfortable saying, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, do this. So yeah, it's tricky, but I think it came out of a growing discomfort with perpetuating this practice of telling women what they can and can't do with their bodies.
One more question.
Okay.
For grad school, I did.
My brother is going there this fall. I know no one from New England who's ever gone, so it's cool. Also, for the both of you, like your problems are so unique and like true to yourselves and everything. How did you find inspiration? Where did it come from?
Actually, I have a very specific moment. I was actually staring at the ocean.
Okay.
Because I too feel very connected to water. So there's something to talk about there. Yeah, I was just staring. I was on vacation in Antigua, staring off into the landscape at New Year's, thinking, what am I going to do? And then, yeah, everything sort of came together. But a lot of that inspiration, to be honest, comes from many years of being immersed in spaces like this and absorbing other people's creativity and getting excited and inspired by that. So if you want inspiration, you're in exactly the right place because there are sources of inspiration everywhere in this room with each person that's sitting in this room. So I'm excited for you to be here in this space. You're gonna leave here just like bubbling with creativity and ideas.
I think the place where inspiration comes from for me is when I get quiet. So that's a really big part of my practice is different forms of meditation and contemplative practices, whether they're outdoors with the ocean in front of me or inside, doesn't really matter. But I feel like that's, for me, been the richest place. But also, like what you said, community and making art together and seeing art, going to museums, performances, like that really feeds my practice as well. Like, I can't just make in a vacuum alone. I really want to be in dialogue with other makers and thinkers and community.
Thank you both so much. And thank you all for your incredible questions. Those were brilliant. We will be participating or witnessing more work from these two amazing humans Friday night, Betsy Miller Dance Project. Which was the best. With Maren and Lindsay. And we will be witnessing and participating in some portal action over the weekend. As goes with anybody in our community, feel free to corner them with more questions or find them in Commons, have a seat. We're all very accessible, yeah? Have a great night. Take care of yourselves.